Our method utteranceCompleted, which begins here at line 213, is invoked from the onUtteranceCompleted event listener, which we registered for the text-to-speech engine back in the onCreate method of this activity. Now, the purpose of this method is to figure out what to do anytime a spoken message is finished by the text-to-speech engine. So the first part of this method is dedicated to figuring out whether to terminate the activity and thus terminate the app. So the first thing we do at line 217 and 218 is get the value that corresponds to the key param utterance ID in our TTS params hash map, and we assign that to the string quit. If that value is equal to the string quit, that would indicate that it's time to terminate this app, at which point we will shut down the text-to-speech engine and finish the activity and return immediately from this method. Otherwise, we have to figure out what we do next. So one option is to allow the user to quit. So if we find that we've already displayed all of the text messages to the user in this app, that would be indicated by the fact that current message index is greater than or equal to the length of the display messages array, and we also find that we're not already in the process of quitting, then we're going to call our own method allow_user_to_quit to give them the option of terminating the app. Otherwise, if we're not currently waiting for a response, then we're going to display some information to the user. And we're going to use our viewUpdate handler to ensure that any modifications to the GUI happen in the graphical user interface thread of execution. And because we created the viewUpdate handler as part of the activity, as an instance variable of this activity, which we'll see in a subsequent video, that ensures that anything we do from the viewUpdate handler will happen in the GUI thread of execution. In this case, we're sending a message, which is the message that we want to update the text on the screen. And in that case, it's going to send that message over to the viewUpdate handler, which will receive the message and use that ID to figure out how to update what's on the screen. Now at line 239, we also start creating a local variable called words of type string. And if we find that the current message index is equal to order summary index, we're going to start setting up the order summary. And we append information to the words string to do that. And then we follow that with some additional information that we add to the word string as well. And you'll notice that we also do some replacement of values inside of this word string. For example, we have the fact that we want to replace in the word string the string pepperoni with the string pepperoni_speech. And if you take a look at the strings in the arrays.xml and strings.xml files, you'll see that sometimes we have a string that's used for display purposes versus a string that's used for speech purposes. And the ones that are used for speech purposes, we often use phonetic spelling to help the text-to-speech engine speak the text better. And that's the purpose of these replace method calls that you see here at lines 249 through 252, where we are replacing the word pepperoni with a phonetically spelled version of it, and we're replacing the word pizza with a phonetically spelled version of it as well. And then finally, down at line 255, we speak the words in the word string. We use q.flush to indicate that immediately this particular string should be spoken, and the TTS params object again enables us to ensure that the onUtteranceCompleted listener gets called when the speech finishes. At line 256, we then set waiting for response equal to true, because we're now speaking something to the user for which we need to get a response. And when waiting for a response is equal to true, that is the indication of the state of our app saying that we're now waiting for that response. Finally, we have the else if at lines 258 to 261, where if we're not listening right now and the current message index is greater than 0, we now want to listen for the user's response to a given message that was already spoken.